Hollywood has created nearly 500,000 movies. It has developed over 10,000 TV shows. It has entertained literally billions of people over the years and generated at least $5 trillion in revenue since its inception. And it did all of this using a remote and hybrid workforce. Even before we had machines on every desk and in every pocket, folks were imagining, writing, and strategizing wherever the heck they wanted, and then coming together to collaborate and create TV and movie magic in person. Imagine that. Now, imagine someone steeped in Hollywood's culture creating an app that helps you be more productive and find more fulfillment in your work every day. Meet Steven Puri, an entrepreneur with a background in tech that led him to a career in digital effects that took a left turn into work as a studio exec with DreamWorks and Fox. You know, the typical path. His platform, called Sukha, Sanskrit for the good place, is like a breath of fresh air for folks trying to make the remote and hybrid thing work in a distraction-filled universe. It helps you focus, find your vibe with the right music, and uses AI to offer personalized work recommendations based on your habits and patterns. It does a whole bunch of other cool stuff too. Steven and I also dug into the importance of great leadership as teams navigate this nutty world that literally no one has a firm grasp on, despite all the pontificating we see on LinkedIn and elsewhere. It's a fun conversation. Steven is a smart and interesting dude. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, rate, review, or subscribe to the podcast. Let the desuckifying begin. Here's Steven. Okay. Steven Puri, welcome to the Desuckify Work podcast.
Here we are. Drop some knowledge, maybe have some laughs. We're going to see what happens.
We're going to drop a 300-page business book's worth of knowledge.
No callbacks. The audience doesn't know the joke you're making, but I do, and it's funny, and I like it.
I know. I like the blind callback. It's kind of fun. We'll clue
They're all wondering
on that later.
What were they talking about last time?
So, Steven, before we dig into all the stuff you're doing, can you give us a brief story of who you are, what do you do for work, and all that good stuff?
I'm happy to do that. And hopefully this is interesting enough that some people stick around. And if this is boring, you are welcome to go about your day and save the hour. Okay. So I have what some people in English language would say is an atypical path, which is this. I, as a young Turk, was a code monkey in my teens, ended up winning a Thomas J. Watson scholarship, worked at IBM as a software engineer, junior software engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Helped me pay for college. Went to USC in Los Angeles, where a bunch of my friends in the dorm were in the cinema TV school, because that's a really good cinema TV school, right?
Yep.
So, talking a lot of creative, going on Tuesday night movie dates with friends and all debating what we saw and stuff like that. And I happened to be in Los Angeles when film went digital. It's that big wave of Pro Tools and Avid, and suddenly computers could handle the amount of data that was in a film frame.
Yep.
And I was in that weird intersection of the Venn diagram of I could talk engineer and I could talk creative because my friends, and my career took off producing computer generated effects for movies.
Nice.
Did a bunch of films, Braveheart, True Lies, Seven, this, that, worked with Woody Allen.
You would have heard of by any chance?
Yeah, just like a bunch of stuff. And here's the fun thing is like I lucked into producing the digital effects for Independence Day, for which we won the Academy Award for digital effects, right?
Yeah.
Going into the movie, we didn't know it was going to win. It was this B movie at Fox. It was like, oh, they're remaking the disaster genre, right?
Okay.
And I met the director and producer, went on, the production with them, and it was hard, but we worked really hard on it. And you have that sort of success where you work on this film that wins an Academy Award and it helps your career flat out, right? And there are a lot of people responsible for that. It is not like I was some hero, but it's just, we all worked really hard and we were recognized by the Academy. So I set up a company with Roland and Dean, the writer, director, producer duo. Three of us had a company to do computer graphics because we had a great time working together.
Yeah.
And 4 years later, we sold that to this German conglomerate. So I was in my late 20s. I'd sold a company, in your 20s, when you think you're good looking, you're invincible, you're smart, you know everything. Back in the 20s when all that's true.
I get it.
True, right?
Yeah.
And so I took 2 years off. I just traveled, girlfriend was a flight attendant for Air France, so saw a bunch of the world, and I was like, oh wow. So I came back, and I was very focused on, okay, what do I want to do next? I felt like I had had this great career. My engineering thing turned into film, producing digital film. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to wake up and be 30, 40, 50 years old, just continually making the effects for next year's movie. How do I get into actually making a movie, not just a little portion of it? And took a step back in my career to go get on that ladder of developing scripts, right? Which is very different than being a production guy or a post-production guy, right? So then suddenly it's a new network of people. You have to know writers who are writing things, you have to start to know actors to get them to be in your movie. You have to know financiers. So I did that, get on that, a lot of lucky breaks, worked really hard, ended up an executive vice president at DreamWorks for Kurtzman Orsi, a vice president at Fox, running like the Die Hard franchise, the Wolverine franchise, stuff like that. Had another moment where I was like, okay, I don't want to wake up and be 40 years old and just be doing Die Hard 9. And I decided to get back into the thing that I knew how to do, which is engineering. So I was like, let me create some startups, raise a little bit of money. I had 2 failures right out of the box. Raised about $3 million for each. Neither of them became the thing that I hoped they would become. Yeah. We raised pre-seed, seed rounds. The Series A was beyond our reach. Was humiliating. I was really embarrassed because I thought I was this hot shot, and brought me back down to earth. And in the course of doing that, came up with this idea for my current company around, what did I see? What have I noticed? And what I noticed was that remote work is here to stay. In film, remote work has been for 100 years part of the process. It's not a new shock to the system with the pandemic. It's always been there. And how do people lead through periods of remote and hybrid? How do people contribute as ICs? What are the tips and tricks that people have seen who are like at the top of their game do? And how can I basically build that into one button? How can I make a simple website that goes, here are some great tools for you to do something with your life? Because I have a thesis that we all have something great inside ourselves. And the question of this lifetime is, are you going to get it out or not? So that is the arc of my life. That is what I'm doing now, is helping people to do something with their lives, live healthier, more productive lives. There it is.
Wow. I really appreciate the quote unquote non-traditional journey.
Right?
Yeah. And what I appreciate about it is both that it's non-traditional, but it's also an example of, I think people feel like there's a trade-off. If you go through a non-traditional route, it means you can't really achieve any significant measure of success. That, okay, I can bounce around, but I'm going to kind of just be barely scratching the surface. But your experience was worked hard and found a way to move up and do things within different types of organizations and different types of roles. Not that that's the only way to do it, but I think for many people, they might get scared off because they see themselves as, well, I want to accomplish, I want to achieve. And if I don't go down the prescribed route of start here, go here, go here, go here, then I'm somehow going to miss that. How did you
jump in on that for a second, Jay?
Yeah, please.
So I believe you should only take advice from people who have done the thing that they're talking about, right? There are a lot of armchair quarterbacks that are like, this is how you should. I've learned to ignore all of it unless you've done the thing. And then I'm like, tell me more. I will shut up and listen, right?
Yeah.
So as I share some thoughts here, I very much hope that anyone that's listening recognizes, oh, here's something Steven's done, and maybe this advice worked for him. It could work for me. Well, here's stuff where Steven doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, and like I should go, get some coffee in the kitchen or something, right? So what you just touched upon, I feel very strongly about, and I'll tell you how I do. I believe it is better in your career to be the lowest person in the room with the smartest people than it is to be medium or high person around idiots. So if you want to play basketball, I'm just using a metaphor, mop the floors around Michael Jordan, watch what he does, see what he talks about, look at the rhythms of his day. Way better than go be a high school coach to some team.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm earning money as a high school coach. No, dude, my career has gone well because I have no problem mopping the floors. If I can watch Michael Jordan practice, I will mop up and down the court, period.
Mm.
And I think that is a key component of why I've been able to build a company, sell that, go into another career, go up, become executive vice president of studio.
Yeah.
There are times when I was an assistant, like when I sold Centropolis.
Yeah.
Took a little time off, got back into it, talked to some friends. They were like, hey, man, if you want to become now a studio executive, it's a whole different ladder. You need to go be an assistant and like just start at the bottom and work your way up.
Yeah.
Friends who were smart said this to me. Friends who had done it said this to me. Like, you will build a network starting at the bottom. Did this. My dad called the office one day and I answered the phone with my boss's name. Hey, Tom Jacobs' office. And my dad was like, you can tell me the truth. Like, did you get fired? Like, what? You're a secretary now.
Yeah.
What happened? And I was like, Dad, think of this year, next year as grad school. Okay. I'm not going to earn a lot of money. I'm going to learn a new career and it's going to be a lot of work. So just, can you think of it that way? And he's like, you can tell me what happened. Did you get fired? I was like, oh, no, this is bad. Right. And,
yeah. It's interesting. Yeah.
You work hard. 4 years later, I'm an executive vice president of studio. It's because I was able to sit there and just say, like, you know what? I would rather be the first assistant to the president of Paramount than try and be just some rando producer on the street hawking my wares.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to share about, like that sense of like, I can be a dilettante in a lot of areas and not do anything well. I totally get you on that. Yeah. But I feel like it's almost, if you expect, I've got to reach into I've got to translate myself into a certain level of something I don't know, as opposed to, no, man, I want to go be an ad exec. Let me go work for the smartest ad exec on Madison Avenue. Yeah. And I don't care if I'm a secretary. I want to see how the game is played at that level.
Yeah. A couple things really interesting in there. One, your dad's perspective is a really good book.
My perspective means disappointment.
Well, I mean, I think it's he has a vision. He was sharing a vision that is very much that traditional. Yeah. He saw that and couldn't see
IBM for 37 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
he has 74 patents to his name. He was an electrical engineer his entire life.
Right.
There was no,
and that's how you did it. Right. I mean, that was like, and we still hold remnants of the belief that that's still how you do it. At least for some people still feel like that's the path. And I appreciate that you described another path. And what I also noticed there was, how did you get clear with yourself on who the Michael Jordans were in your world? Because it's not always easy. It's not always easy to have that kind of discernment when you're not fully baked into that system. You're sort of in it, in a different part of it. But so what did you use as your guide to decide these are the kinds of people or companies that I really want to be hanging around, mopping the floors with?
Probably listening more than talking.
Yeah.
When you listen, people will tell you a lot. We're focused on, they're talking, what am I going to say next? Let me think of what I'm going to say next. You don't actually hear. You're kind of just prepping for, like, when they stop, I might got my thing ready to go.
Yeah.
So I think that's something. And again, I learned that later. That was not me at 16. That was me probably late 20s, where I was like, okay, you get around people and you let them talk and they will reveal, like, I'm the smart one in the room, and people will treat that person in such a way. And then you become friends with them. Okay. So what does TJ need? You know what? TJ is really looking to develop a relationship with Spike Lee. Oh, I happen to know Spike's agent. Let me see if at the next party, whatever, I can introduce TJ and Spike, like, or TJ and Spike's agent or something. You know what I mean? Like that sort of sense of, like, how can I provide you some value? So later you're like, Purey, who are you? Like, what are you doing? Oh man, I'm just an assistant reading scripts. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of wisdom in that, both on the listening side and on the how can I help side.
Always give, even in user interface design, like, I always look to say, how can we give you something before we ask you for something? Yeah. There are too many things that are grabby and needy.
God. Yeah. Yeah. Spend a few moments on LinkedIn or other places, and you can feel that. I mean, I actually genuinely appreciate a lot about LinkedIn, but there's a lot of grabbing and neediness on there. And it's, you just want to reach out to that person almost and go like,
Yeah,
get what you're doing, but there could be a different way to do it.
I completely agree. We don't need to name names, but
No,
yes.
but it's there. Yeah.
Yes.
So you've described this non-traditional career path, and I'm curious for you at this point in your life, what role does work play in your life?
What I enjoy doing right now is sharing what I have seen work for people. And I'll give you like a concrete example. So that's not some abstract bullshit, right? So there are a number of writers with whom I've worked who are in the $1 million, $2 million script club. So these are the top 12, 20 writers in the world. There are things that they do to do this very hard thing, which is create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
Simple mental tricks. Most of them are free. There is no book to buy. There is no app. You don't need to use my app. You don't need to like go eat this cereal or buy this AG1 from Tim Ferriss, right? There's none of that. It is like, that's interesting how they do that. And let me give you one or two concrete examples that, again, are in this category of like, interesting how they learned that. For example, chronotype. What time of day do you do what well? Ron Bass is a screenwriter. He was an attorney turned screenwriter. He's in that club. He has written the roles that Julia Roberts has said, yes, I want to play. Dustin Hoffman, Tom Cruise. Like, these are people who have stacks of $20 million offers.
Yeah.
And they've read his stuff and go, that next spring, this is going to be what I do. This role is that good. I want to be the one to say these words. Now, what's interesting is Ron famously doesn't talk to his family in the morning. Not even a hello, not a good morning. And he said to them this. He said, I realize in the morning that once I start talking to you, even if it's just, hey, kids, you want pancakes? Did you do your homework? I can't hear my character's voices in my head. So he gets up 3, 4, 5 in the morning because he knows he's got 3-ish hours there to write those words, and they sound like what Julia would say. They sound like what Tom Cruise would say, right?
Yeah.
And that's super interesting when you start to become attuned to that. Know thine self, right?
Yeah.
Hey, man, like in the morning, I'm really good at writing my blog or working on my side hustle or doing whatever today. I shouldn't use that time for catching up on emails or paying the bills or whatever. That's kind of as, Cal Newport would say, it's shallow work. You know what? In the afternoon, when you're having your 3 o'clock slump, why don't you pull out the bills, spend 20 minutes paying the bills then? Right. Use that time at 9 a.m. to do the thing that goes up on your website and suddenly goes viral. Because at 3 p.m., you're probably not going to have that. Or if you do, know your chronotype and say, no, man, I hit my stride at 3 p.m. or at 10 p.m. or whatever that is. And there's, as you know, in Silicon Valley, there's a hustle culture that often celebrates, oh, I was up all night coding. And at 4 a.m., I was just pounding any one of Elon's tweets, right? Yeah. Like just mainline Red Bull and stay up all night with me and blah, blah.
Yeah, if only it were just Red Bull. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. There are children listening, TJ.
Yes, I know. Wow.
So, yes, there is that culture that celebrates that. I don't think that has to be the way to be a great engineer or a great designer. It's your way. God bless, man. If you're like, no, I really work best from midnight to 4 a.m. The world is asleep. I can focus. I microdose ketamine, LSD, psilocybin, whatever. If you find like your jam, I'm not judging. I'm just saying, know what your jam is and don't just do what someone else does. Because you're like, oh, we're all going to stay until 4 a.m. I'm just going to grind it out and then be a waste case the next day. Yeah. So that's the Ron Bass example. Again, know your chronotype. Leverage those moments of gold.
It's a really interesting insight because I think our culture puts a lot of people way up here, right? Whether it's Elon, you mentioned Tim Ferriss, and like, I like Tim Ferriss, so I'm not even dissing him, but the instinct can be I want to copy the way that successful person does stuff because that must be the way you get to be that kind of person, as opposed to what you're describing, which is really know yourself, really understand how you work. Because even as I see so many posts like, got to get up at 5 a.m. if you want to own the day or whatever. I'm like, That's on me.
Maybe.
I'm not that person.
Maybe for some people, not you.
I am not. I do the shallow work in the morning person because I am not a morning person. So I can rip through emails in the morning, but if you tell me to switch into creative mode, it's not usually where I am. But actually, 3:00, I'm in the zone, and then I'm in the zone again at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night.
Half the people listening just nodded. They're like, TJ's my people.
And I think that's a story that needs to be out there more around. Mm-hmm. It's okay to look to successful people and go, I wonder, what are they doing? But not at the expense of not actually getting to know yourself. And
true.
That message, I don't know that always comes through as clearly in the culture as I wish it did,
Very true.
So I want to explore a little bit about your company. But before I do, just because you kind of mentioned that there were people you had a chance to listen to and guide you along the way, was there anyone who really helped flip the switch for you and suddenly you were able to see your path more clearly because they showed up in your life?
I will mention two people, a writing team and one single person.
Yeah.
When I got out of school, I was just transitioning from USC into like full-time working and the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'd been working since I was a junior at different ad agencies. And there was a company where I worked that was owned by two guys who were very well established in their field, very well respected doing promo. So they were the guys that studios called up to say, hey man, we got this movie coming out. Mm-hmm. We think it's this great rom-com in the spring. Help us sell this thing. We need trailers. We need ideas. Like, they were just fantastic. Top of their game.
Yep.
Loved working there. Greg and Jeff. And they did have a real understanding of creativity. And I'll give you one example. And again, this falls in the category of free stuff you can try. If you need to be creative, here's something to just be aware of. Mm-hmm. So my nominal job at the time of the story is I was the guy who ran the writer-director department, which means when we got a movie in from Warner Brothers or Buena Vista, which is Disney, those are the biggest clients at the time, I would assign it to one of our writer-producers to say, hey, man, we have a rough cut at this thing. TJ, take it home. It should feel somewhat like, Reservoir Dogs, or it should feel somewhat like Batman or whatever, right?
Got it.
So Jeff, one of the two principals, comes to my office. He goes, he was calling me Stevie. Don't know why. He's like, Stevie. I was like, yeah. Like, Bart. I was like, yeah, Bart in the vault, the nice guy, runner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes, you ever give Bart a movie to write a trailer? I was like, we're talking about Bart, the guy who drives tapes around Hollywood, right? And gets coffee. We're talking about Bart. I was like, I've been in the elevator with him. Seems like a nice guy. He's like, yeah, I have an instinct about him. Okay, you know what? I haven't, Jeff, but you're the boss. Who am I to question you? Let me give him something, right? So I found some like Warner Brothers B title that had like a month deadline. So if he comes back after a week, is like, I hate this, I don't want to do this. Easy to give it to a pro who'll bang it out, right?
Yeah.
2 days later, Jeff's in my office. Hey, Stevie, how's Bart doing? I'm like, Jeff, I gave him a movie like 2 days ago. Like, I gave him this, whatever it was. I don't want to stress him out. I'll ask him on Monday. Jeff's like, okay, all right, fair enough. What else did you give him? Jeff, he's never written a trailer before in his life. It's like, I gave him one movie. I don't want to go nuts. He goes, Stevie, let me teach you something. With creativity, it's always about the other thing. You give Bart one movie to work on. He's going to stare at that with little beads of sweat coming down his temples, and he's going to write the most obvious B version of that trailer you can imagine. The part of your brain that does the, what if peanut butter and chocolate?
Yeah.
That part is not the part you think you're thinking with. So if you don't give him another movie to obsess over, the back of his brain is never going to be free to do the peanut butter and chocolate thing. He's like, just trust me. Can I tell you how many times I've seen Jeff proven correct through my film career with writers, through my tech career with designers and engineers? Wow. And he taught me that when I was 20.
Wow.
So that kind of thinking, and Jeff and Greg, who was the other principal there, was incredible with people. Like, so the two of them, very formative with me. And probably the thing about listening, a lot of that came from Greg, who was just part of why he was good with people is he actively listened. What is it TJ wants? What he's afraid of? How does how do I factor into his life in some way? She goes, I'm glad Steven's here. Right. So he's great. And then I'll tell you the second story, which is kind of very different, which is I thought I was decent at story. I'd seen a lot of films, read a lot of scripts, stuff like that. And when I went to DreamWorks, I was working with Alice Kurtzman and Bob Orsi, who had at the time done the rewrite on The Island, they'd done Zorro, they'd done Mission Impossible 3, they'd writers on Alias, a bunch of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Very nice guys. And I learned from them how much I did not know about story. They were like, you know, the story about the Porsche mechanic who sort of puts his hand on the engine. He goes, oh yeah, it's the third cylinder, the fuel injectors. And you're like, how did you know that by putting your hand on the hood? He goes, I've just been doing this, you know?
Yeah.
They were those guys. And again, being in the room with them because we were at DreamWorks. So it's like, yes, you're meeting with the top writers and directors in the world that come to the door there, right? They taught me stuff like, for example, one of the things we developed was this sense of everybody wants us to write $100, $200 million movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Big ass budget things with aliens and pirates and, you know, do not accept the job if we don't know what the $2 million version is. In other words, if you only have $2 million, is there a character story worth watching?
Yeah. Wow.
Because anybody can kind of write photon torpedoes hitting dinosaurs with Godzilla and the pirates dancing on Starship. What? But if you can't strip all of that away and go, no, man, this is like a powerful story about a family. Mm-hmm. And it happens to be in space. You know, like Star Trek 11, the one with Kirk and with Chris and Zach, that is simply Cain and Abel. That story is just Cain and Abel. The two of them are going to kill each other.
Yeah.
And they lose the movie until they have it out and they go, okay, we're good. And then they can win the movie. The entire movie pivots around that moment. Right.
Wow.
And that for us was what we called the organizing principle of that was, it's Cain and Abel. And when you think about like Taken or Die Hard, something like that, they're the same movie. Taken and Die Hard are the exact same movie. The pain of losing a female that loves you. You want to love you.
Yeah.
In one case, it's I've lost my wife. She's gone off to work for these rich Japanese guys. She doesn't respect me or care about me. I'm just this New York street cop.
Yeah.
The other movie, I'm just a ex-CIA agent, whatever. I lost my daughter. Now someone else's stepdaughter who's rich and gives her ponies.
Yeah.
The same movie. But if you strip all the guns out, all that stuff, that is you talk to a dad who's lost his wife or daughter in a divorce. Like, yeah, that's what it feels like right there. That's it.
I like a couple things you're tapping into here. One, both of these lessons really hit me remembering back to my advertising career. So I worked at ad agencies for 25 years as a writer and creative director. And I mean, the most recent thing you mentioned, this idea that the $2 million version versus the $200 million version, it's such a good lesson because I can't count how many times we complained about budgets when they would come in and it wasn't the 2 million versus 200, but it might be the 100,000 versus a million kind of a budget for a commercial shoot. And you'd be so frustrated initially, like, this is not enough budget to do what we want. But then it becomes an interesting creative challenge. Like, how can we actually find something really interesting? And I think that is a hard lesson to learn sometimes. And I think that lesson actually extrapolates into almost everything, meaning there's the grand thing you want, and then there's some smaller version of it. It's the mopping the floors for Michael Jordan when I really want to be like the guy who passes the ball to Michael Jordan, or maybe he passes it to me. It's like realizing that if you can solve that small thing and do that smaller thing well, then you're on your path towards doing the bigger thing. And so that lesson feels really broad to me when you really think about it. And then the lesson from I think it was Jeff at the agency making trailers, like this idea that you need something else to occupy your brain.
Yeah.
I think, again, going back to my advertising career, sometimes I wondered if I was weird because that worked for me. Meaning I was always much better when I had a handful of things on my plate. And I imagine a lot of people feel similarly, like, why do I thrive in this weird way where I'm here, but there's the brain's also over here? It doesn't sound efficient on the surface.
There is a great book about the neuroscience behind this. It's called The Net and the Butterfly, like catching the butterfly in the net. The Net and the Butterfly by Olivia Fox and Judah Pollack. Okay. And what it talks about is you have this, like, from a baby, the default mode sort of network in your brain, which is that, like, oh, what is this? Oh, it looks at a cell phone. It's like, what does that taste like? And then you have, like, as you become more mature, that executive mode where it's like, I have to execute action. My homework is due tomorrow. Oh, the slide deck's got to be done. I have to go pick up the dry cleaners. When the executive mode, the adult, is occupied, the default mode gets to do that weird play thing, right? I can't tell you how many people that I worked with, that I've spoken with, have that, oh, my best ideas come when I'm showering, driving, walking, doing the dishes. In other words, the executive mode network has to execute some action, and the default mode goes, great, no one's watching. I can come up with ideas right now. Yeah. So that is a great book about exactly this. And again, anything smart I say today has basically come from reading the smart people who have done a lot of research on this. Let us not credit it to me, but there are, giants upon whose shoulders I'm standing.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to checking that book out. And I think there's just value in people recognizing that maybe they're not crazy. That's how things work, because it can feel a little crazy. Because at times you can feel overwhelmed by, I've got a bunch of stuff on my plate, but yet I come through and I do it. And realizing that's the process, that your brain needs those different modes to be kind of shifting.
It needs challenge. Like what you said about budget, where you can, if you were creating commercials or whatever, you can be like, oh, I really need $250,000 to do this thing. But this client has 70,000 or whatever, Yeah. You're right. It can be disempowering. We're like, this is impossible. Or it can be that thing of going, okay, I have to really come up with an idea for this. I'll tell you, I've seen God knows how many commercials, millions of commercials, worked on a ton, My favorite commercial ever, the one that sticks with me decades later, is so stupid, simple, and effective. It was for the American Association for the Blind or something, the blind charity, right?
Yeah.
And it was a TV commercial that comes on with some sort of rock music soundtrack, right? It was like, and on the screen, just a black screen, some white letters, and said, your blind friends think this is probably some sort of Bud Light commercial. We want to reach out to you because they're too proud to ask. We need your help.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
What did that cost? $5? $10?
Yeah, like basically zero by any.
I remember that more than any other
rounding error
Bud Light commercial I've ever seen, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, that stuff's beautiful when you can really get an idea down to its barest form like that and realize the impact that can have. Well, I want to talk about your idea that has evolved into a real thing and is helping people find their way in this world of remote, hybrid, whatever the heck else we're doing out there. Lots of shifting happening there. But so your company's name is Sukha.
Yeah.
And I want to start with the obvious question. What does that mean?
That is the obvious question, right? Okay. Yeah. So you know me, I'm a storyteller. I'm going to tell you a story. It's going to take a minute or two, but it'll give you a lot of context on this. Cool. So Laura, my wife, 10 years ago, was the girl on the mat to my left in yoga.
Okay.
We struck up a conversation. We are married and having a son this year, right? Yoga is a daily part of our life. We practice every day. Okay. So a couple of years ago, we're going to get married, and we had a working version of, the website that we've created, had a working title, and we're going off on our honeymoon, which we thought Bali was a great place to go if you're, doing yoga, because you can hang on the beach, do some yoga, chill out for 10 days. No one's going to bug me. No purchase orders to sign, the whole thing. So as we're going there, I was talking to Laura, and I was like, you know what? What I would really love is one of these days to have that idea, a name for this company that's like as cool as like Amazon, where it's not like, hey, book company 4, it's Amazon. And it's a powerful, interesting name. You're like, why did you name it? Oh, it sounds cool. Nike's not named shoe company. You know what I mean? It's like, Nike. And I was like, what's that thing that's not like flow state app or like focus app, distraction blocker? There's something that I just was like, I want something. I was like, good luck. I hope, the universe speaks to you. Yeah, we'll see. We get there. And I said to her, I want to ask a really weird question. First day here, we have 10 days to chill. Would you mind if I spoke to a couple people who are like power members of our little platform? Because maybe they'll tell me something that I don't see about it that'll seed my unconscious.
Mm.
So I was like, cool. So I posted in the group chat. I was like, hey, anyone who has 10 minutes today, I'd love to talk to you. Do 3 of these. 3 people said, yeah, I got 10 minutes. I asked the question, I was like, hey, TJ, what's your favorite thing? Oh, you love the music. Oh, you love the timers. You love the smartest. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, man. So the third one, I was just about done. When you're like 8 minutes in, you do the wrap up of like, TJ, I really appreciate your time. I want to respect that we said 10 minutes. It's almost 10 minutes. Have a great day, right? Mm-hmm. And the guy stops me. He's actually still a member now. I see him every now and then in the platform. And he goes, Steven, you asked the wrong questions. Mm. I was like, okay, what's the right question? He's like, you should ask me why I pay you. I was like, it's like 30 cents a day. Like it's not a Birkin bag or something. Like, okay, so tell me, why do you pay me? He said, so at 3:00, I can be playing with my kids. They're 2 and 4. Or at 6:00, I can be down on myself and be like, where did the day go? He said, I realized the difference is, did I go to your website in the morning and start my day there? I pay you because my kids are not going to be 2 and 4 forever.
Well,
okay. So I go to dinner with Laura. I was like, I spoke to this dude today who's like more articulate about my company than I am. This is what he said. She's like, yeah, that's really good. So we were going to bed that night. And Laura looked at me like she's brushing her teeth, sort of. She's like, you wanted the universe to like come at you with something. That guy, in yoga, we hear all these like Sanskrit concepts like prana, life force, and, karma, dharma. He described you as Sukha. You've been so focused on, should your platform be named after what the tools do? She said, that's just the pathway. The guy said, where I want to get is Sukha, which literally Su means good and Ka means place. It means good place. She's like, Sukha is that feeling of when you're good at what you do, you're in your lane, you're doing it, you can do it with ease. You're like in control of your life. So there you go. The universe gave you something through this dude.
Yeah.
I lay down in bed, pull out my phone. I look to see who's the Sukha company available as a domain, the happiness company.
Yeah.
And it was, and I bought it, and that was it.
Wow. I love that guy's story. I mean,
he's really, articulate guy. I was like, thank you, sir.
I love the story in so many ways, right? Because first he had the guts really to kind of speak up, right? In that situation, you're being asked questions. You don't necessarily think it's your place to speak up. And he said, nope. I'm gonna tell this guy he's asking the wrong question.
That's right.
And then I'm gonna articulate it in a way that you can't help but feel it. And I don't have kids, so that's a really good barometer to know if a story is powerful, right? That story doesn't connect to any reality in my life, and yet I feel it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a really beautiful thing. And then I love that it obviously moved you and your wife enough to find that connection through your own story together. This on the mats next to each other up to getting married, expecting a child story. So it's a really beautiful way that all connects together. So how does it work? How does the experience on the Sukha app or on the site help me as a busy guy find a way to pay attention to what I really should be paying attention to?
I appreciate your asking that. I will answer it from the point of view of I know people talk about necessity as the mother of invention, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my case, it's more pain here, where I'll describe to you something that was painful for me. I was getting down on myself.
Yeah.
And that caused me to really think deeply about how would this be fixed. So I procrastinate. And one thing I noticed is tomorrow morning, let's say 9 a.m., I'm going to get going, TJ. I've got to do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And at 9:15 or 9:30, I'd find myself still like returning emails that didn't really need to be, you know what I mean? Or scrolling just to make sure I'm up on the news or something like that. And the result of that is like, I would have those 6 p.m.s where it's like, I didn't finish it. Okay. You know what? I know I got to go to dinner with Laura. We have that dinner tonight. So I'll get up early tomorrow and get a jump on it and finish my stuff from today before I start tomorrow's stuff. And it's a lie you tell yourself, and then tomorrow's you don't finish. And it's just dominoes through the week, right? And you just feel bad. And I was like, okay, so let's do that thing with the 6 whys where you keep pulling back the onion, right? So I was like, okay, so why do I feel bad at 6 p.m.? Well, because I didn't really get started and work efficiently in the morning. I could have gotten this all done.
Yeah.
Okay, why'd you procrastinate? You know why? Because I realized I felt overwhelmed. Why did you feel overwhelmed? One of 2 things. I looked at my task list. It was too big. There's too many things on there where I'm just like, I can't get all this done today. This is ridiculous, right? And they all had to get done. There's overwhelmed with almost paralysis of like, oh God, that much? Or it was the overwhelm of there's something on there. I can't even make a dent in this today. Right? Go, write my book. I'm not going to write my book between now and the 11 a.m. with TJ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the way I solved that, at least for me and for the people who use it, is really simple. I have a smart assistant where in the morning, when I want to get going, says, hey, what are the 3 things we need to get done today? Like I looked at your to-do list. These seem to be at the top of it. Are these the right 3? Yeah, that's good. Okay. And as soon as I start, it hides the other 14. There's no sense of overwhelm. It's like, I look up, I go, oh, I can bang out these 3 by 11. Hell yeah. Okay, cool. Or if there's something stupid in there, like write my book, it's like, you know what? What if we just did outline chapter 3? Yeah. I saw you outline chapters 1 and 2. It takes about half an hour, but you do that now, right? So that sort of thing for me was okay, I have a problem. I have to admit I have a problem. My name is Steven P. I'm a procrastinator, And then you sort of go, okay, how do we put something in place? And then we couple that with a lot of the smart people have written about, it's nice to have a light task manager. It's nice to have like 1,000 hours of flow music, upbeat, down tempo, lo-fi, like binaural beats, like choose your own adventure, whatever feels good for you. Soundscapes, 1,000 hours includes, you want to sit by a gurgling brook? Do you want to imagine you're in a coffee shop in Vienna, Austria? We have a recording of that. We have 2 hours of rain in the Himalayas. One of our sound engineer buddies was in Kathmandu and it rained and he stuck his microphone out the window. Wow. He's like, hey man, I don't know what to do with this, but I have 2 hours of rain in Kathmandu. we called it Himalayan Dream Rain. We stuck it in his playlist. I listen to it sometimes. Yeah. So the long answer to your question is our website's simple in that there's a play button. There are timers and task lists, and there's a community. You can chat with each other and share what you're working on and talk to other people what they're working on. There's scoring. So you can see, like, do I get better day over day? Like, are my scores going up? Am I getting better at blocking Facebook and not picking up my phone in the middle of my work session? Am I taking healthy breaks? Like we have stretching videos. You can, every 25 minutes, like a Pomodoro, you can, I should be reminded to stand up and stretch. So little things like that. That's what it is. And it's just like it's a good place. Hopefully it's Sukha.
Yeah. I mean, a couple things I noticed. One, I feel very seen as you described the 14 items on the to-do list.
Oh man.
And I have my tricks that I think sometimes work, which is I put a few, like I'll put a line between like, okay, here's a few, and then the next one is, and so my brain, I'm trying to tell my brain, like these ones maybe not as big a deal and these are longer term.
Yeah.
But it's still a damn mess when I actually look at it. What I've noticed,
I'm with you.
This is just ridiculous as I call myself out here. I do my to-do list religiously every night. I do it and I feel so damn good about it. I'm like, I did it. I'm afraid to look at it. I won't even look at it some days.
I get it.
I'll be doing the next day and I'm like, oh, I didn't even look at this. Did I do any of these things? I mean, it's, I don't know. It's bizarre that that's how it is, but I imagine I'm not alone in that the anxiety of the too many printed characters on a page is just, so the idea that when you said it just hides.
It's paralyzing.
Yeah. The idea
that's
that
how I feel.
I can hide that stuff and just let me see something really clean. It's like blood pressure medication is how I absorbed that. And it felt very aligned with the feeling of the name of your brand, right?
I appreciate that.
It feels
we're trying to walk our talk.
Ease. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I want to get into something that's been, kind of weird in the culture recently, which is, you've created this.
This is going to be good.
And it's really great for people who don't, who work remotely.
Yeah.
And man, has there been a big turn against that? Not like a 100% turn. There are still folks who are doing it, but what's your take on what's happening, and what's your take on where we should be?
Well, let me begin by setting the table this way, which is because I've worked in film for over a decade, 2 decades, right? I've seen that films in their natural process include remote stages, hybrid stages, in person, writers writing alone, developing, like pre-production, post-production. So you have all that. So it's a natural part of it. You wouldn't really say we're in the hybrid stage of the film. It's like, oh, we're in prep, we're in pre-production or something,
Yeah.
So seeing how that works, and leaders know how to lead, and ICs know how to contribute in that for 100 years plus, gives me a lot of confidence that, okay, this works as long as you understand how it works, right? And a lot of what I do is try and share these things that I've seen at the circus.
Yeah.
So it is true for some businesses, some verticals, the shock to the system of, Zoom became a verb. We're all remote. I wish my people were here, right? I think on the leadership side, there's some fear around, well, if I can't see, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And in my mind, that's a hiring problem.
Right.
Because as a leader, as a real leader, you do kind of 2 things. You set a vision. Hey, man, we're here to cure cancer. We're here to clean up ocean plastic. We're here to get us on the moon, whatever that is. Like, you set a vision and you set a style. And while we are doing X thing, this is how we treat each other. This is how we treat our customers. This is how we treat our competitors, right?
Yeah.
And that ripples through the organization. If you think you're going to have hands on keys doing the accounts payable, you're out of your mind, or you're at a 1-person company, right?
Right.
So you kind of have to know that. And if you're attracting the right people, they wake up in the morning, they're like, I'm excited to cure cancer. I have a reason that I am at this company. So number one, I want to say is, if you are terrified as a leader of like, what are my people doing? First ask yourself, is that a hiring problem or is that a remote problem?
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm telling you, I've worked in an office at places where I wasn't that engaged. I can waste time in the office too.
Oh, okay.
You can have my body there, but my brain ain't there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just
saying. I'm pretty adept at that myself. Yeah.
Well, everyone is, right? Yeah. Okay. I've seen Office Space.
Yeah.
Lived Office Space. And I have your TPS report right here, by the way.
Appreciate it.
So that said, I do think for a number of verticals, it was like before the pandemic, they had a color palette that had red and yellows on it. And they could paint suns, they could paint sunsets, things like that. And the pandemic came along and suddenly it was like, oh, there's this other color, blue. Now I could paint, lakes or rivers or, whatever.
Yeah.
Skies. And it is true, like you said, the pendulum swung all the way one way for health reasons, right? Now the pendulum's coming to a new normal. It's not where it was 6-7 years ago. It's not where it was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a place where it's like, hopefully great leaders say, I can now choose to paint with blue or paint with orange or red or yellow when it's appropriate. And someone who is a great leader might look at TJ and say, hey man, you know what? Like a couple days a week, it's really great if you're here, kind of like being part of the team and collaborating and like, inspiring some younger people,
Yeah.
And like, I also know that when you're gone out of here for a day or two, it's usually when you have that idea that in the staff meeting, everyone's like, oh my God, that. And when you're here in meetings all day long, you generally don't have that idea where everyone's like, what TJ said we should do right now. You know? So let me just lead in a way that I'm kind of aware of how these things happen. And it may be hybrid, like is what I just described.
Yeah.
It may be remote, where it's like in my company, amazing designer in Dubai.
Yeah.
Never met him in real life.
Yeah.
But dude, like I saw your stuff on Dribble or Behance, where it was, and it looked at your portfolio. Look, you get what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. But on the other hand, like collaborating on story, for example, I've never been on a Zoom or a G Meet or anything when I've had the same quality experience of creative collaboration as being in the room. There's something electric about being around each other, and you're like, okay, it's the end of the second act. Okay, so the hero's got the phaser or the sword of destiny, but he's also got a broken leg, and the dragon's in the other cave. And, you know, like there's something about being in the room where it's just like you feel that energy of like, oh, Steven, you know what it should be. Remember when we saw that scene from the Seven Samurai?
Yeah.
You know, that's I've never had that on a Zoom call with that same like electricity of brainstorming. Yeah. So I really think the answer to your question in a very long way is hopefully we have more colors on our palette to paint with so we can paint the appropriate thing. We're not trying to paint skies that are all yellow. Now we go, oh, this sky actually should be blue in this painting. And you choose it.
Couple of really interesting things showing up there. I mean, one, there is a need for leaders to be really good at recognizing where people are at their best, what kind of space they need to thrive. You know, in your example, it's like, well, you know, TJ does a lot of really interesting creative things when he's home or he's wherever he is. I don't even know. I don't care, but I know he comes back with good stuff. But TJ also is able to influence the team in a really positive way when he shows up here a couple times a week, and he can give people insight into stuff and model certain behavior and all that kind of stuff. And then, the creative collaboration moments of, you know, what I would say is, I'm not sure the office is often the best place for that, but be together. Meaning, be together. As I pictured that scene you were painting, it was in a coffee shop or a restaurant, right? Could even be at somebody's backyard. Yep. Right? But very few offices are designed. There are some, but most offices do not have good spaces for that kind of thing. You almost have to force yourself into some weird corner of a place and try to make it happen. But that does feel like it can be a little bit more work, even though the output of that work is fantastic. Meaning, before we were all just in the office and I knew you'd figure stuff out. Okay. So I didn't have to work at that. But that probably was suppressing some things because now that person doesn't have the ability to be where they need.
Sure.
So I get the resistance on that level of like, well, so now I'm more like a conductor and I really have to understand the individual needs and in the context of the broader needs and all that stuff. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of work. And then the other thing that I've picked up on for a lot of executive leaders, the way you can effectively influence others is through your presence, your physical presence. That's sort of the methodology of walking the halls, walking the floor, doing that thing. And simply being there can feel like I have an influence. And I get that. And I think that's not inherently a bad thing. But it shouldn't be the only thing, meaning let's learn some new ways to be influential and to help people wherever they are. And then I want to come to one last thing, which is the Hollywood model, which is a really fascinating model to me because I don't think I'd ever really thought of it like, oh, so you've been doing this hybrid thing or this kind of work from anywhere or work for where is appropriate thing for 100 years. And it seems to do okay. It's not the probably trillions of dollars that place has generated over time.
True.
But what the distinction I get, and this is where there's some hard work on the corporate side, I think, there's a clear thing. I am making Die Hard 11. Like, we're all coming here to make Die Hard 11.
That's going to be good. I can tell you already it's going to be good. Anything with 11 in it.
In the corporate world, and this is, I think, a needed thing, actually, we don't know what the hell we're doing half the time. Meaning, we're showing up, and like you said, it's kind of office spacey, and I'm doing things, but I'm not doing things towards this bigger vision, this bigger purpose. Yep. So that feels like that's the, I don't know, I'm mixing metaphors, but the 100,000-pound elephant in the room, or whatever the heck the thing is. Like,
you dream big.
That's large, but if we really look under the hood at so many corporate workspaces,
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna see a lot of junk. I mean, it's like going into the basement after 30 years of not cleaning it. How do you envision we can really open that and really look at that and make a dent in it? And can Sukha help me make a dent in it as I start to try to peel those layers back and make my company more effective and efficient?
Well, I will tell you this, it's going to happen for us.
No.
The way in which financially the incentives work to have AI do the work that humans have done. If we had this conversation 3 years from now, we would laugh at this conversation.
Yeah.
Be like, oh my God, we were so naive. We were like standing on the beach with the tsunami offshore, and we're like, I don't know, what do you want to have for lunch? I don't know, TJ, what do you want? You're like, oh my God. So it is going to happen to us, for us, without us doing anything. When you have, the CEO of IBM, feel however you want to feel about him, saying like, hey, 40% of our workforce is going to be done by AI. We have Andrew Jassy at Amazon just saying, hey, I'm giving you heads up, like y'all are going to be laid off. Like there is a whole class of knowledge work that is simply going to be done by predictive logic. Hey man, we crawled all these different things. Our little bot here now can predict, like, this idea generally leads to this idea. This word generally leads to that word. I have a stable diffusion sort of model of how we can create this image for you. Like, this is all going to change.
Yeah.
I appreciate you working Sukha into that, because I do believe the people who are trying to do something with their life, there are enough forces financially in the world working against you. There are enough companies whose business model is steal your life.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop. That's their business model. Hey, TJ, I'd really like your life. I'm going to sell it to this advertiser. I'm going to keep the money. You good with that? In return, I'm going to let you scroll past a whole bunch of like clickbaity dancing monkey garbage. Just give me your life, okay?
Yeah.
You're never going to do anything with your life that way. You're going to be the old guy who's like, I could have been a contender. No one wants to hear that. So when you consider that they have the deepest pockets, you're talking about, Mark and Evan and Elon and all these guys, they have the most money to reward the best behavioral psychologists, the best designers and engineers to say, hey man, here's our mission. Our mission is steal people's lives. We're not going to call it that. We're going to call it connecting grandmothers with their grandchildren's photos, right? That's what we're going to call it. It is an unfair battle to expect you to win.
Yeah.
You are not $1 trillion company optimizing every pixel on that screen, every sound of a notification to make sure you are addicted, but they are.
Yeah.
So I just wanted, in a little way, to create a tool to say, if you decide you have a side hustle or you want to do something with your life and not give it up, hey man, here are a bunch of things to help you. It's not going to do it all for you. It will help you do it and you'll feel better. But you have to be intentional and say like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to wake up and be 50 years old, be like, man, I scrolled through some great Kardashian content. Every time they got their lips plumped, I remember I liked that. Really, does anyone care?
Yeah. It's a
make
wild
$1 billion of your own. Start your side hustle or kill it at work and become a partner, whatever it is. But just, I want to give people a tool to go, hey, I decided I want to do something with my life. Who's going to help? We're here. That's it.
Yeah. There's a really interesting distinction you're creating there between sort of the expectation that things will sort of come to me, right? And maybe at a time there was reason to believe that, meaning there was a process and you could expect certain things, but things are changing so much that you need to be part of whatever change you're trying to bring into the world. And you can't expect that the billion and $1 trillion companies out there are necessarily aligned with what you want.
100% agree.
I suppose, somebody could. I mean, what I worry about with some of the big companies and using AI is that I have no problem with using AI, actually. Like, I appreciate it. I mean, it's good at some things, it's terrible at others, and it will continue to figure more out. But the to what end,
Mhm.
where, if anywhere, does the human discernment come in the same way, like that humans haven't been very good at that. I mean, I was just ranting about how corporations have been set up to do a lot of nonsense.
Yeah.
They can do some good things, but there's a lot of garbage mixed in with that. I don't necessarily have faith that AI will do any of that differently. It may do it more cheaply, but it will still not necessarily like be effective or efficient at actually improving the world, even in the way some people intend to. I mean, I know, Elon, love him, hate him, whatever. He has some big, dreamy intentions in some of his businesses, SpaceX or whatever. Whether he truly believes that or not, I don't know. Let's just presume at least on one of them he does.
Which one?
Whatever. I don't, but even, or anybody, like, it can easily shift from the grand vision of I want to be multiplanetary and I believe that's the best course for humankind or whatever, to all the incentives seem to be driving me towards something else. And AI is actually telling me something else. So for there to be the kind of change and to be the kind of world we want, I do think it's actually more than ever incumbent on individuals and smaller groups of individuals to try to figure things out, because the top-down thing is not working the same way as it may be used to. So that's what I really appreciate about what you're bringing in with Sukha is, okay, it feels like a comfortable entry point. It's like, I got a lot of things I want to try to do, and that seems overwhelming. What you're saying is, yeah, sure as hell is overwhelming. Here's a way to make it X% less so. I'm curious for you in the midst of all this discussion about AI, how is AI playing with what you've developed, and are you working with it, and how is it helping?
It's an awesome question.
Oh.
I want to deploy AI in this way, and I'm using metaphor because I love them, right? Is if you were to go to Usain Bolt and say, hey, with AI, we made this robot, it runs faster than you do, and you don't have to exert yourself, you can just sit here. That experience would suck for Usain. It would suck for the spectators, right? Yeah. Maybe the robot would run quickly, but who would go?
Yeah.
But if you said to Usain, hey man, actually with AI, we figured out exactly how your toes work in your shoe. And we have a shoe, you might shave like a second off your time with this. It is perfectly made how your toes flex.
Yeah.
You want to try that? That would be thrilling to everyone involved.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of force multiplying, that kind of optimization of human power, the ability to create something into the world that did not exist before, that is amazing. And that's how I want to apply it. That's why we have a smart assistant that is an LLM, right?
Yeah.
So it is there to say, hey, you know what, TJ, I've seen your patterns. You're best in the morning doing this. How about tomorrow morning I cue this up for you? Oh, by the way, in the afternoons, you work really well to this playlist that's just a coffee shop. How about I'll see it at 3:00 and I'm going to have the coffee shop ready for you. That's where you go, oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I do love listening to coffee shop in the afternoon, as opposed to like, hey man, I did a AI slop version of your blog post. Do you want to read it? And you're like, not really, because it probably is very, meticulous and has a lot of M dashes in it.
I will fight for the M dash till the day I die, man. I have been using
those. It's a noble, die on that hill.
Using those things since I don't know. In advertising, you use them all the time. I'll just say that it's just a
I'm with you.
Wonderful way to join two thoughts together, and it's not a semicolon, which nobody understands. So
I know I'm a fan of semicolons just to throw people off.
I actually use them, and I know I'm pissing people off when I use them because I don't know what
I made you think. There you go.
Am I going back? Am I
right? Yeah. How's that different than a colon? I don't know. Purey uses it. I hate him for that, but I know. Think.
I get it. You talk about Sukha meaning the good place and this idea of creating happiness at work. And I love the idea. I'm all about it. Desuckifying work to me is all about making work more happy, more fun, more enjoyable.
Yeah.
I've had people I've worked for who, if they look at you, they walk by your office or your cube and they see, and you look like you're having fun. Well, they're
bad.
They're effing off, man. They're not working.
Right.
they're not understanding the neuroscience that you talked about before, that how that actually can unlock stuff in the same way that occupying our brain can. But what do you say? I don't know if you're selling this to big corporations or whatever, but if I'm the CEO of a good sized company and it's like, and I see like, wow, these guys are like all about happiness at work. I don't give a crap about happy. I want my people to be productive. Damn it. Are you going to try to sell to me, or do you think I'm a lost cause?
You do care about happy, TJ.
Yeah.
Because if you invested in people you've hired well, you care about retention. And guess what? People who are happy stay.
Yeah. That's such a simple message. And yet I feel like it doesn't always land for some reason, meaning somebody can go, yeah, we don't have great retention numbers. Or in the advertising business, like it's like a 30% turnover every year.
Oh, yeah.
And yet people kind of just go, well, yeah, that's just how it is. I can't really fix that. There's some belief that either you're full of crap when you're telling me happy people will stay, or you're full of crap when you tell me people can actually be happy if they work here at my company.
And this is going to sound heretical, but there are people who believe that being unhappy is part of work, and they seek that out. I mean, it's almost like, you had a friend who's dated abusive boyfriends, but she's strangely attracted to the next abusive boyfriend. And you're like, do you see the cycle you're in?
Yeah.
And she's just pattern matching what she knows. Oh, my dad was like this, So you can lead a horse to water, but the horse has to be intentional and say, I want to start drinking water now.
Yeah.
Like if you're caught in a cycle of like, this should be misery and I want to sit around the water cooler, stand around the water cooler and bitch my life away about how bad it is here. Hey man, I'm not here to convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
You do you. I'm here for the people who are like, I would love to see my kids grow up.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go build a side hustle that pays for my family and like takes care of all of us. And I also would really love to see like my kids play a couple afternoons a week. Okay. We got you.
Yeah. I think the work should be hard people. It's the old, that's why they call it work thing. And it's like, and it's oddly become a bit of a political thing now. I mean, I feel like one side of the political spectrum seems to really be like buying into that more now, like, which is like, it should be a grind. And that even gets into some of the RTO mandate stuff. It's like, you shouldn't be home enjoying yourself, seeing your kids, God forbid, at 3 p.m.
Right.
You should be working, damn it. And we don't need to go into that, but it's just an observation of how many people have accepted that and now have actually like glued it onto their identity, which I don't think is healthy at all. But the idea that we can both be really productive and enjoy our lives, that is a thing that I think needs a lot more storytelling around it. Because we can both say that till we're blue in the face, and some good chunk of people will go, that's just BS. It's not possible. And yet I think we're both examples of like, that is actually true. That's how I got through my entire career in advertising, was that I was enjoying the heck out of myself, especially when I was really doing my best work. And those things were absolutely linked. But we need more stories for people to help people really connect to that, because it's not coming through in just us saying it's true. Do you have a story to encapsulate that at all? And if you don't, that's fine.
I would say this, which is that I think there is an association between being so good at something, doing something with ease, that implies that you're lazy, you're not working hard.
Yeah.
And the counter to that is to say, so when Picasso arrived at the point where he could take a cocktail napkin and draw 4 lines on it, and famously said, like, here's payment for my meal.
Yeah.
Those were the right 4 lines.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those 4 lines were not drawn in crayon by a 3rd grader. It took a lifetime of drawing lines and understanding composition and photorealist as well as impressionist and cubist to be able to say these are the exact 4 lines. And maybe he could do it in 30 seconds because he could do it with ease. He could get there.
Yeah.
You try it. You want to go shoot that half-court game winner?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Michael did.
Yeah.
You try it.
Yeah.
So don't penalize someone because they do it with ease.
Yeah.
Celebrate the people who win.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I want you on my team.
Mm. Yeah. I love that. And I think on top of that, there is actually, we should be in awe of the people who figured out the cheat code that they can actually do it with ease. Meaning, and sometimes it works both ways, meaning sometimes it's all these years of hard work and it makes it easy, but sometimes it's embracing more of your playful, joyful side allows you to get into that hard work in a way where it feels much different than if you're trying to grind your way through it. Yeah. And so you can get through those 100,000 half-court shot attempts that you take, and you're having fun every single time.
Or most of the time, enough of it to feel like I want to keep doing this.
I can just think of myself as a kid. Like I was taking those imaginary game winners all the time, and I missed 70% of them probably.
Right.
But I had fun the whole way. And it's because it's the mindset that you embrace of when you're in it. I want to come back to one thing before we start wrapping up here, because you mentioned this idea of playing with your kids at 3 p.m. and you mentioned that you guys are expecting. So
come November, I'll be a dad.
Congrats on that. And has that reality shifted anything in how you're thinking about your business?
Oh, Hunter, shifted my reality about how I'm thinking about everything.
Yeah.
Definitely why I am sharing things this year is I know I have a window of time before he comes where I can do things like this podcast and say, hey, man, I learned some stuff along the way. Let me talk about it. Let me give it to you. And I would like for him to find this body of, sharing and be like, oh, I'm kind of proud. This is my dad, Yeah. Like I don't expect him to look at the Wolverine or Die Hard 5 or some of these movies and be like, oh, I'm so proud, like they're popcorn. They didn't move the needle, Yeah. But in terms of the world that I'm going to hand off to him and hopefully his little sister, if everything goes well. Yeah. Yeah. I think about that all the time. If I could have 1% of people feel 1% better creating the things that change their life, that's way more meaningful to me. And hopefully in terms of how they view me, then, hey man, I helped, Bruce get $20 million on another movie. Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Again, I don't have kids, but I get it. I can feel that. I've asked you a fair amount of questions so far. I'd love to give you a chance to flip the script a little bit and pose a question to our audience. The question I would ask of the audience, and this is one of those, not rhetorical, but they don't have to answer out loud. They can reply to you however they want. Just simply, what is the thing that you on your deathbed will be very proud that you've done? If you haven't done it, why not? Yeah, I feel that one. Well, I think that's a hard one to answer for me, although I have an answer. I mean, honestly, right now, the thing I'm most proud of is just my relationship with my wife. There's not even that's awesome a question about it. But then it begs the question to me of what else might I be wanting? Okay. I've built that and I've created that reality in my life. What else am I really wanting? Yeah. Kind of in alignment with what you just talked about for yourself. Yeah. Well, I'm very curious to see what people say about that. And this question, we probably kind of dug into it a bit, but maybe we can synthesize it here. If you could wave a magic wand and fully desuckify the world of work, what does that world look like? Oh, I can tell you it very simply. If I could wave a magic wand, it would be to have people define work as the effect of what they do, not how long it took or where they did it. If you come into the staff meeting and you say the thing where everyone in the room goes, Jesus, that, like, we should do that, like, now, like, that changes the trajectory of our company. I don't really care if you spent yesterday at the beach and this happened to come to you on the drive home.
Yeah.
I don't need to know that you were slaving all night with 18 pieces of paper crumpled up by the side of your desk. No.
Yeah.
It should be the effect of your what you do, not where or when.
I agree. I'm fully on board with that. And I don't know why that's not more prevalent, but
it's generational. I mean, you get in mind, we're coming from a, hey man, industrial revolution. We should be in a factory on an assembly line pushing stuff.
X number of whatevers and
right. It's hard to shake that
clock
stuff
hours and all that stuff. Yeah, I know. It's just interesting because so much of the work we do is so obviously, at least probably to me and you and several folks listening, not of the same kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's idea-driven work. And like you said, it's you show up in a meeting and they go, what about this? And everybody goes, yeah, that. Yeah. I don't care if you actually thought of that while we were going around the room asking people how their weekend was.
Yep.
I really don't care.
Totally agreed.
But a lot of people still do. And so there's work to be done here in what we're both, I think, trying to put out into the world. The next question is a little sillier. If you listen to my show, you will hear some sounds at the beginning and at the end of cats meowing and other weirdness. And I always invite the guests to add a sound into that mix. It does not have to be feline in nature. So,
thank
Steven,
you for that.
what
I'm
is
allergic
your
to cats.
What is your desuckified sound effect?
Here's my sound. That was the sound of listening.
I love that. You got me for a second wondering, is that mic not working?
Oh, exactly. What happened? Did he drop out? Did he fall asleep?
Yeah. It's hard, man. I know it's hard sometimes to really shut all the noise down inside yourself and just be with another person and not be constructing as you're with them. So I really appreciate that one. So the last thing I'll ask, Steven, is simply, how do people learn more about you and Sukha and all the good stuff you're putting out into the world?
Well, I'll say this. My email address is pretty public. It's steven@thesukha.co, which is TheSukha.co, the Sukha company.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything that I have said that someone's curious about, I get back to my emails within 24 hours if I'm not traveling or sick.
Okay.
So if someone's like, hey man, you mentioned Cal Newport, something I should read, or who's near, it doesn't be about my company. It doesn't have to be about anything other than, hey man, I'd love to know more about this. I will reply to you. I'll give you a link to, here's a link to that book I mentioned.
Yeah.
It will not be 19 paragraph story of my life. I don't have time for that, nor do you want to read it, right? But I will get back to you. I leave that open to anyone who needs it. And if anyone wants to try what we've built and, experiment with that community, it's free for 7 days. No credit card, no funny business. No, you have to remember to cancel, none of that. It's just try it. If it works for you, if you feel good, join. And of course, it's the Sukha company, TheSukha.co. So
nice.
Free for 7 days.
Awesome. Well, I will drop that info
in the show notes.
As we
That'd be awesome.
And, I hope people connect with you because I think you're putting a lot of really good stuff into the world, both actual stuff and just ideas and finding ways to synthesize the thoughts of those who have already thought some things, but finding ways to add a little extra juice onto it. So I really appreciate
you saying that. I'm trying.
This was a really fun conversation. Thanks for coming on the show.
This was great. Okay. Stay cool out in Arizona.
I will do my best. Thanks, Steven.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Desuckify Work podcast. And a huge thanks to Steven for bringing a fresh POV on the world of remote and hybrid work to the show. You can follow Steven on LinkedIn and check out Sukha's site at thesuka.co. Your blood pressure will drop 10 points just by visiting. If you enjoyed the conversation and would like to help your teams bring their absolute best to work, I invite you to schedule a free half-hour discovery session. Type meow in the calendar invite, and I'll also send you a free Desuckify Work t-shirt. Bye, everyone.